Dear students, let us begin with the second part of the lesson on India and Indo-Pacific, in which we will discuss about India's role in Indo-Pacific as a construct. The term Indo-Pacific signifies the importance of the Indian Ocean and the rise of India as one of the major regional powers. India has a direct interest in the political, economic and strategic dynamics of the Indo-Pacific region, viewing it as both a significant geopolitical arena for shaping partnerships and a crucial geo-economic arena for trade flows. India's maritime security strategy has evolved over the years, transitioning from freedom to use the seas in 2007 to enhancing secure seas in 2015. The strategy released in 2015 emphasizes three key aspects. The first key aspect is on safety and security of seaborne trade and energy routes. India places a strong emphasis on safeguarding the safety and security of trade and energy routes that pass through the Indo-Pacific, recognizing their critical importance for the region's stability and economic well-being. The second aspect is on importance of freedom of navigation and international legal regime. India underscores the significance of preserving freedom of navigation and strengthening the international legal framework at sea, particularly focusing on the United Nations Convention on the Law of Sea 3, which governs maritime rights and responsibilities. And third aspect is on cooperation and coordination among navies. India acknowledges the value of cooperation and coordination among various navies to counter common threats at sea. This collaborative approach reflects its commitment to enhancing maritime security in the Indo-Pacific, not only in policy but also through practical engagement in the region. In 2007, Prime Minister Abe delivered a widely cited speech before the Indian Parliament. He not only spoke of the dynamic coupling of the Indian and Pacific Oceans, but also characterized them as seas of freedom and of prosperity. Australia's foreign policy white paper in 2017 referred to a vision of an open, inclusive and prosperous Indo-Pacific region in which the rights of all states are respected. US President Donald Trump also referred to a free and open Indo-Pacific region. India's press release declared that a free, open, prosperous and inclusive Indo-Pacific region serves the long-term interest of all countries in the region and of the world at large. These statements collectively emphasize the importance of shared values in the Indo-Pacific concept, focusing on freedom, prosperity, inclusivity and respect for the rights of all states. While Indian think tanks and government officials have repeatedly used the term Indo-Pacific, the Indian government's official engagement with the term has been gradual and deliberate. In the following discussion, we explore the evolution of India's engagement with the Indo-Pacific region. Geographically, India is a peninsular nation bounded by mountains to the north. It is connected to the Arabian Sea, leading to West Asia and linked to the Bab al-Mandab and Hormuz Straits in the west. On the eastern side, India is bordered by the Bay of Bengal, extending from the Andaman and Nicobar Islands up to Indonesia, ultimately leading to the states of Malacca. India's first Prime Minister Nehru once noted that India stood at the crossroads of Asia. Historically, India was primarily focused on its continental policies and it was involved in 3 wars that emphasized this continental orientation. However, beginning in the 1990s, India's priorities began to shape. Increasing energy dependence on West Asia, along with factors like immigration and remuneration from the region, made India realize the importance of maritime interests. As India's trade and economic prosperity became increasingly dependent on the Indian Ocean, the country adopted a look-east policy in the 1990s. This policy sought to strengthen India's engagement with East Asia and the broader Indo-Pacific region, recognizing the vital role of the Indian Ocean in its trade and prosperity. In 2014, Narendra Modi assumed the position of Prime Minister. He made a significant policy shift in India's approach towards East Asia, transitioning from the Look East policy to the Act East policy, aimed at deepening ties with ASEAN and the broader Asia-Pacific region. In January 2015, during a meeting with the United States President Obama, India signed the Joint Strategic Vision for Asia-Pacific and Indian Ocean region. This agreement defined the geographical scope of their partnership, extending from Africa to East Asia, with a focus on supporting sustainable, inclusive development, regional connectivity and infrastructure development. It also emphasized the importance of adhering to the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea and peaceful settlement of the South China Sea dispute. India's interests in the Asia-Pacific region aligned with those of the United States. To formalize its intentions in the region, India launched its maritime security strategy. This strategy recognized the sweeping change in the global and regional geostrategic environment, emphasizing the shift in the worldview from a Euro-Atlantic focus to an Indo-Pacific focus. This underlines India's commitment to enhancing its role and engagement in the Indo-Pacific region, especially regarding maritime security. China had declared its intentions to establish the Belt and Road Initiative. In September 2015, India, the United States and Japan held their first inaugural trilateral dialogue. Additionally, Japan had become a permanent participant in the Malabar exercise. In December of that year, India and Japan signed a joint vision statement for the first time to expand their partnership to the Indo-Pacific region. Meanwhile, India continued to engage with China and Russia within the BRICS forum, where they collectively focused on creating a multipolar world order. As a sign of its deepening engagement with Pacific actors, India became a new member of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. This steady deepening of ties between India and various Pacific actors suggested that India was strategically positioning itself as a balancing force between its continental interest represented by Russia and China and its maritime interest with countries like Japan and the United States. Despite its complex relationship with China, India took a significant step by boycotting the One Belt, One Road forum launched by China in May 2017. The Indian Ministry of External Affairs released a statement emphasizing that connectivity initiatives must be based on universal recognized international norms, good governance and the rule of law, openness, transparency and equality. The statement further articulated that connectivity initiatives should adhere to principles of financial responsibility to avoid creating unsustainable debt burdens, maintain balanced ecological and environmental protection, employ transparent assessment of project costs, and respect sovereignty and territorial integrity. India raised concerns regarding the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, which violated India's territorial claims over disputed territory in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir's Gilgit-Baltistan. This further escalated tensions between the two countries. Notably, China had previously rejected India's membership in the Nuclear Suppliers Group, and it had also repeatedly delayed Indian request to ban Jaish-e-Mohammed, a terrorist group, and its chief Maulana Masood Azhar under UN Resolution 1267. As China-Pakistan ties continued to strengthen, India grew increasingly concerned about China's involvement in building the Gwadar port in Pakistan. China's investments in several port projects in the Indian Ocean region were major sources of apprehensions for India. These Chinese actions and behaviors in the region were perceived as an attempt to balance and contain India's influence in South Asia. This culminated in the Doklam crisis between July and August 2017, during which Indian and Chinese troops had a face-off in the trijunction of the Doklama Valley, which bordered India, China and Bhutan. Both nations agreed to de-escalate the tensions through diplomatic channels peacefully. The leaders outlined the Astana Consensus on the sidelines of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit. It was agreed upon that both India and China should become an anchor of stability in regional and global situations. Despite existing differences, the two countries should strive to ensure that these do not become disputes. Following the Doklam crisis, India conducted two informal summits. These summits took place with Chinese President Xi Jinping and Russian President Putin in Wuhan and Sochi respectively. These meetings were significant in fostering diplomatic relations and reducing tensions. India's approach to its geopolitical interest in the region underwent a transformation. Prime Minister Modi delivered the keynote address at the Shangri-La Dialogue in June 2018, outlining India's vision for the Indo-Pacific for the first time. This signaled India's more proactive and assertive role in shaping its strategic interest in the Indo-Pacific region. The Shangri-La speech by Prime Minister Modi highlighted four key points: the geographic expanse of the Indo-Pacific. Prime Minister Modi began the speech by emphasizing the diplomatic achievements with ASEAN and India's growing connections and visions with Russia, the United States and China. He noted the importance of creating a multipolar world order as part of the BRICS goal and expressed the shared interest in an open, stable, secure and prosperous Indo-Pacific region. The second key point is on ASEAN centrality. The speech underscored the significance of ASEAN centrality as the heart of the new Indo-Pacific, supporting values of inclusiveness and openness. The third key point is on inclusivity and ideology. The values and ideology underlying India's vision for the Indo-Pacific were discernible through the choice of words used, particularly the emphasis on a free, open, inclusive region that embraces all. This highlighted India's commitment to inclusivity, which aimed to address the concerns of ASEAN leaders and engage with countries like China and Russia to seek new pathways to regional stability. Fourth key point is on principles of inclusivity and revival of non-alignment. The speech mentioned India's efforts to revive principles of non-alignment and strategic autonomy, combining previous distinct continental and maritime alignments. This was evident in India's participation in the Russia-India-China trilateral ministerial and the Japan-Australia-India trilateral dialogue, both of which focused on the principles of inclusivity. I hope you understood about India's role in Indo-Pacific as a construct. We will discuss about India as a part of Quad in the next video. Thank you.